Hello, y'all. Welcome back. We'll be reviewing and recapping episode 6 of King's Court. So let's jump into it. Okay, the episode started out with the king snapping a few pics with the ladies. And of course, they did they showed a quick confessional of Jennifer. She was talking about Janae. She was saying, how she felt Janae was unkind. And they panned to like a scene with Janae talking about how she doesn't connect, how she wasn't connecting with, I guess, the women or something. It doesn't really show she's unkind, but I don't know if it's kind of like previewing something because later on in the episode, Janae kind of also mentioned something about how she felt towards Jennifer as well. So, I don't know, maybe it's just a foreshadowing of the way they edit these episodes. And of course, they pan to like Felicia and Tyson. They were sitting on the couch, and Felicia had her legs like wrapped around Tyson a little bit. They were sitting with him on the couch, and she facing towards him, sitting on him with her legs wrapped around him. They were very kissy, lovey-dovey, touchy. There were definitely there's definitely a physical attraction between them, and the cameras definitely show that. Very undeniable. Okay. So then the host came in, and the host told them that they would be meeting some of the king's family members. So the ladies, I guess, they took them to a vineyard, and that's where the ladies would be meeting their family, which is nice. It was really pretty there. Carlos invited his brother Charles, and Tyson invited his friend Trevor, his best friend Trevor, and Thaddeus invited his best friends, LaRonda and Ricky. LaRonda happens to be an ex-girlfriend. Well, later on, he had mentioned it's ex-fiance, okay? Ex-fiance, and he said she also helped raise his children. He just had mentioned that in passing. And then of course there's Ricky. As soon as he said that though, I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I don't know. It took Thaddeus for me. I know different ladies are different. It took him right off the market for me. I was like, not interested. Okay. I don't know. How would y'all feel about that? I don't know about that ex fiance as a best friend type thing. I don't know. Some people could handle it. I don't know. I don't know if I would be able to handle something like that. The ladies, they were all talking to the family members, and of course they're all saying the right things. Everybody's putting their best foot forward. Everybody's trying to show who they are and trying to let the family and friends know how they feel about that person and who they are to that person and all that stuff. Some of the, the different conversations that they highlighted. One was, of course, Dr. Kalia. When she met Thaddeus's best friends, of course, she was not fond of him having, and you could see it in her face. Because Thaddeus was like, I saw it in her face. She was not. You could read it all over her face. She was like, who is this woman? Harpo, who is this woman? She was just not having it. Like, she was not having it. And I, when it comes to this, I can definitely see how Dr. Kalia would feel about this, because I would not be having that either. Another conversation that they highlighted was with Thaddeus's family was Demi. Okay, so they were asking Demi, they were like, so why are you interested in Thaddeus? And of course, Demi was like, it's because of the way he looks at me. And they're all like, okay, well, could you kind of expand on that? And she was like, yes, I'm blessed. And they were like, oh. Okay. It was a weird interaction. They were like, anything else? And then, of course, they had Denitra also spoke to Thaddeus's friends. And, of course, she said Denitra wanted children. And of course, Thaddeus, if you remember, he does not want any more children. Like he has his children and he's fine. He doesn't mind if the women that he's with have children. That would probably actually works better for him. But he doesn't plan on having any more children, or he can't. He went and got that taken care of. I was just thinking, because she was like, she was telling the family members, now that I met him, I could possibly, maybe, be open to not. And I'm like, girl, why are you here? Like, I know there's plenty of other men out there. If you want children and he's literally cannot have children, why even bother? Like, are you really going to give up something that you hold dear to your heart for a man that you honestly barely even know? Because y'all haven't been there that long in the house. You're still getting to know these people. So are you really willing to give up something that you want for this, So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to change. That's something that I don't think he's going to change his mind on. He's pretty set. When a man goes and they're set, they're not trying to change that back around. I've heard a few situations where they have changed that around, but for the most part, they're not planning on changing that around, or changing their mind for someone. And then Tyson's best friend, I guess now they're back to asking about, like, because I guess they did all the meet and greets and all that stuff, and they met all the ladies and everything. So now they're back to asking the family members about their opinion. So Tyson's best friend told him that, he felt there was chemistry between him and Sarah. He felt the chemistry there when they were talking and interacting. And he said he felt there was attraction between him and Felicia. Excuse me. I'm sorry. He felt there was an attraction between him and Felicia, but he felt like it was mostly sexual. And, they have a pretty strong sexual attraction, I would say. I see that as well. Then he also said Allison, she looked like she would make a great wife. But he sees that as platonic. Like, she would be like that girl that came over and making some good oxtail, but he doesn't see, Tyson being too into her. And I felt the same thing. I don't know. Tyson seemed like he likes her, he seemed like he liked the essence of who she is, because she's really cool, the opera singer. She's really cool. So I think he likes the essence of her, but the way he's moving and is operating in the house, it just seems like he's more geared towards Felicia or even Sarah. Even though, like Allison said, she would be somebody that would be good for him, but at the same time, I think she deserves somebody who's also good for her, at the same time. Like, it has to go both ways. And then I guess he said Jennifer. They threw Jennifer in there for Tyson, and his best friend says he sees Jennifer as like a baby in the nest. It gives him baby in the nest vibes. I don't know what that means. I was just thinking maybe it looks like maybe she's real green or something, but she's not. She looks young, but she's 37 years old. She's a grown woman, okay? So I don't know why he said that. Like, maybe she wasn't ready for, like, maybe she had a little bit more, I don't know what that actually meant, but that's what he said. She gave baby in the nest. Like, that's the vibe that she gave to him. And of course, it panned to Thaddeus's friends, talking about how they felt about the women, and they spoke about Denitra. They said that they felt like she wasn't going to be actually okay with not having children. They felt like that's something that, even though she's talking, she may be just lying to herself, And I felt that too. I'm just like, I don't know if that's the best move for her, to give up children. And of course, they felt Dr. Kalia, would not be okay with the ex-fiance being in his life. And Thaddeus doesn't seem to, I don't feel like he's going to give her up. Like, that's his, if she's been in his life, help raising his children, so to speak, she's been there. Like, I don't see him letting her, I don't see him saying bye to that friendship. and Dr. Khalil, she didn't seem okay with it at all. I mean, I understand. I definitely would not be okay with it. Like I would understand it because, people are in people's life for a reason. And if you have somebody in your life that you love and trust for whatever your reason is, somebody else coming in and telling you you cannot have that person in your life, that's, nobody wants that. But in a situation like this, I'm just like, I would just remove myself, because I'm not going to tell people what to do with their lives. But at the same time, that's not what I want for my life. So I would remove myself, if that's the case. So they felt like she wouldn't be okay with this. And then they didn't really say how they didn't really show the other women. I'm like, I wish they would show the conversations between the family members and some of the other women. Maybe they were pressed for time, because I wanted to see, his strongest connection, Thaddeus' strongest connection, I felt up to this point, was with Dr. Ariel. So they didn't even show how the family felt about her. Like, I wanted to hear how they, they met her and everything, and they had a conversation, but I wanted to hear what they felt about what I deemed to be his strongest connection up to this point. So they didn't show that. So I'm wondering if this is like a foreshadowing, sometimes, with editing of how they do things, like why they only showed what the family thought of some women and not others. I don't know why they did that, but I was curious as to what they thought about each of the women, but they didn't show all that. Okay, and so Carlos's family now. So for Carlos's brother, he said that he sees Idlewise as more of a friend towards Carlos, and maybe I see that too. I didn't really see a connection between Idlewise and Carlos, but maybe there's something there that I'm not seeing, because she was still, there up to this point. So maybe there's something there. I don't see the connection. Because there's always Janae. So that's all the connection. That's the biggest connection I've seen so far. I don't see him having too much of a connection with other women, except for when Jennifer came in the house. He seemed to have something with her. And then, of course, he said he felt like his brother said he felt like there may be something there with Jennifer. And he'd probably just need to give her more of an opportunity to talk to her more. He did ask, though, about Janae, because he was like, are they in a honeymoon phase? Like he said, did he see any red flags with Janae? And he said it was more about just building that confidence with her, and not more about seeing red flags. So I guess he's not seeing any red flags or anything that would make him go, he just wants to see like where things would possibly go with her. Oh my God. Okay. So after that, I guess they were done. They didn't really show any more of what the family had to say about any more of the ladies. It was just about those ladies that they highlighted. So after that, I guess the ladies were all at the house hanging out. Not sure if it's the next day or later on that afternoon. It didn't really say, because I know they're there for different times, and I don't want to give times anymore because I'm always wrong on what time I think they're doing what. So, but I can say it seemed a little bit after. Okay, the ladies and the kings are at the house. They're all hanging out, and they did some type of like variation of some talent show or talent hour, whatever they were doing, and it looked fun. It looks like everybody was having a ball together. It was mostly the ladies, though, showing off their talents to the men. They were showing off the things they can do. Some of them were poetic. Some of them did bodybuilding, some of them were dancers, some of them were singers, and of course they definitely showed Allison singing, the opera singer. She was just, she sang very beautifully. So they all seem to have had a good time doing the talent show, and that's fun. You want to have fun while you're in a process like this, where it can get a little 3 men and all these women, and you're trying to find love, and you're all packed in a house together. So I think this was fun for them to do, and it was fun for me to watch as well. So then a little bit after it seems like they all went their separate ways. They're doing their own thing. They showed Carlos and Jennifer in the kitchen, right? And it looks like they were making pancakes or whatever they were making together. waffles or whatever. They were doing that, and they were talking about, past relationships. And, you know, she was telling him about her expectations in relationship and what she expect out of relationship and a relationship even with him and in her past. And with that, I guess she was just shedding light on herself with him, which is good for him because I guess he wanted to know a little bit, my back, he wanted to know a little bit more about her. And then after she talked about, herself and what she expects from him out of relationship, what she's experienced in the past, he mentioned that the conversation that they just had in the kitchen was deep to him. He was like, she gave off these like hippie vibe, but she's actually a deep person. And he said that he was impressed with her. So it looks like, he was listening to his brother and kind of opening up a little bit more and giving, Jennifer more opportunities to get to know her, which is what she wanted because she had mentioned that to him as well. Okay. And of course, Dr. Kalia and Thaddeus, they also had some one-on-one time in the gym working out. Okay. Where she basically expressed to him that she was a little off on her game the day before. And, she wanted him to get she wanted him to get to know her. And she had some clarity about, situations now between them. And he was like, oh, okay, well, what's the clarity that you have? And she mentioned that the clarity that she had is that he is her husband, because she mentioned that in like her in her confessional, that she had like a vision board, and in her vision board she had the world, and then basically she had her and her husband working out together and them making an impact on this world. And so she felt like Thaddeus was that guy, that can make her vision board come true. And she felt like she found it in Thaddeus, like he is the man from her vision board. So that's the clarity that she needed to know that this is her man, this is her husband. And of course he was like, okay, yeah, because for him, he's like, I like a woman. At first he seemed a little surprised, but then he was like, I like a woman who kind of knows what she wants. So for him, he was like, okay, cool. He's like, she knows what she wants. And that he was her husband. So they had that conversation, and then we're on to the elimination mixer and the elimination dinner. And the ladies that they chose for the elimination mixer was Denitra, Dr. Kalia, Demi, and Idlewise. And I was surprised that Dr. Kalia was there. I was like, oh, I'm surprised he brought her to the elimination mixer and dinner. The other ladies, not so much. I kind of had an idea. So Carlos said he invited Idlewise because he wanted to know what she meant about being a runner. Because when she was with his family, when she was with his brother earlier, she had mentioned that, when in some relationship she had, she was known to be a runner. So he was like, what's that actually meant? So she had basically explained to him, it's about her when she's in situations in these relationships, she got a way to kind of recover in the relationship. So that's why she referred to herself as a runner, because if these relationships weren't going where she expected it to, she was gone, and that was her way of recovering. So I guess that explanation was good enough for him. So he was like, okay, I get it. Then there is Thaddeus now. Of course, he's talking to Dr. Kalia about, why she's at the elimination dinner. And of course, he told her he invited her. I swear, this man and his freaking tests. He's always running tests on somebody. He's always trying to test somebody with something. Everything is a test. He loves testing people. He said he only invited her to elimination dinner to see her response to tough situations because she's so polished. I was like, sir, What if a woman is that polished, then clearly maybe she's had to deal with some situations to become difficult situation to eventually become so polished, you know? Like you don't just become polished overnight. You become polished because you've had to deal with different things and different things in your life where you said, okay, this is how I'm going to act in these situations because these are how, this is the best way I see how to get through these tough situations is to become this type of woman. So clearly, I mean, maybe not clearly, but to me, I would think, hey, a woman like this knows how to deal with tough situations. So of course, Dr. Kalia, she responded to him because she was like, she didn't really like that. She said that if he responded to someone that way, someone maybe they're putting up, she said maybe those people are putting up a wall. And why would you try to spend your time trying to figure out if someone is, pretending with you or acting or putting on a facade, why you always, if you have to try to spend that much time figuring all that stuff out, then maybe you need to be aware. So she wasn't using the word red flag, but maybe she was saying like maybe you need to be aware of what is red flags to you. Like if you have to do all that, is this something that you can deal with? Like maybe you need to be more self-aware. That's basically what she told him, because I think she didn't like what he said about basically, testing her. He didn't use those words, but the way he said it, like, I invited you just to see how you would respond in this situation. That's a test. And, us women, we don't respond well to tests. Okay? And especially, a woman of a certain age, she's definitely not going to want to deal with that. So I think she was offended by it, as I feel like I would be too. Like, I thought we liked each other. I thought we see something with each other. And you invited me not because of something I may be doing wrong, but just to test me because I seem too polished. Like, okay. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I be wondering about this Thaddeus. Like, what are you doing, sir? What are you doing? Then she said, what did she say? Then I was like, okay, girl. Then she said it pushes her to want to get to know the other gentleman more for her to be able to walk away with integrity. I was like, huh? I was like, I personally didn't really get why she would want to get to know the other men more I was like, well, you're at this elimination dinner and your connection is with Thaddeus. So I was like, well, you may not get to know the other gentleman more because if he said you going home tonight, you going home. But she had that confidence. Okay. She was like, she had the confidence to say, okay, well, if this is how you're gonna play, well, maybe I should get to know the other gentleman's better if I'm not number one on your call sheet. And so now they sat down to dinner, and Thaddeus, he sent Denitra home, of course, for the reason why she wants children and he does not. Makes sense. So she went home. Tyson sent Demi home. Because Demi just like how he look at her, how she looks at how he looks at, so it makes sense, and Demi, of course, with the one-word answer when she gets sent home, very poised. I like Demi. And then of course Carlos, he kept Idlewild, and Thaddeus, he kept Dr. Kalia. Okay, but I don't know. The episode ended with that, like with them keeping. But Dr. Kalia, you could tell, like by the way she was like, she told him, I thought we had a connection. You can tell she was like still kind of ticked off that she was placed in the position to come to the elimination dinner, because I think in her mind, like I thought we had an understanding that you're my husband. Like, why am I here? So she was just not. She was not having it. So I don't know. I don't know how this will go next week, because it looks like she will probably tear into him a new one. I'm just curious to see how this goes, because again, I don't know how, like, her reaction is just so, like, is there something we were missing about their relationship? I don't know. Her reaction was just a little visceral, so I'm just kind of wondering, like, I don't know, but I'm curious to see how this plays out in the following episode. This between Dr. Kalia and Thaddeus. So that was it for this episode. We'll see how everything goes next week. It seems like things are ramping up. The gentlemen are getting to know these ladies a little bit more. So it's getting good. So it's getting to the nitty gritty of starting to narrow down these women. So we will see. Thank y'all for watching, and come back and watch next time.